So today we're going to be exploring Isaiah chapter 61 verse 6 that tells us that we will be called priests and ministers of our God, and that we will feed on the wealth of nations and boast in their riches. Now, in order for us to understand Isaiah 61, and especially this part of the text, we must go back to God's original plan and intention for humanity, found in Genesis chapter 1. God created man, and he said to man, "Be fruitful and multiply, increase and subdue, and have dominion over all the earth." But by the time we get to Genesis chapter 3, we find that man lost that ability, abandoned it because of disobedience and self-will. Now, when you understand the context of Isaiah 61, especially because it is quoted again by Jesus in Luke chapter 4, we find that it is God's intention to restore that which was his original plan. But for some reason throughout history, the children of Israel had missed that entire plan time and time again. And these days, we find that many of God's children are missing that plan for themselves too. So here, when God says that we will be identified as priests and ministers, and that he will give us the wealth of nations, he is basically restoring that which we were originally made for. You see, the entire biblical narrative is a restorative process. When you read this entire chapter and this particular verse, God's original intention was basically for us to be the sons of God, to rule, reign, subdue, and have dominion. We find that in Isaiah 61 is the fulfillment of Genesis chapter 1, which is everything on this earth rightly belongs to the sons of God, and that now we can lay claim to what is rightfully ours based on the fact that God's original plan will be fulfilled by his presence resting on his children. God does not deliver for no purpose. God saves in order that the redeemed might serve and extend his kingdom. What Israel had, she lost by sin, but it would be restored by a generation that would bear overwhelming fruit. And I believe that you and I are living in that dispensation. We are here to make use of every new invention, every technological resource, all social media platforms, advancement in travel, which this world has to offer for the honor and glory of our God. That's why in this slide I declare that you shall boast on the world's achievements using what they created and established for God's purposes. So, what are the resources available to you today that you could use to establish God's kingdom where he has placed you?